Alright guys, we got the grand finals. Trigger a surprise run today, defeating Beyond and MaxPax to make it to the finals. He's up against Team Liquid's Clem, who's defeated Dark. He's taken out Creator. He's had a fantastic run of games. He's very close to being defeated by Creator at multiple points, but made it through. And Clem actually won the European Cup earlier today as well over at MaxPax and Showtime. So Clem's on a bit of a roll. Trigger, though, is really outperforming everyone's expectations. Just a beast of a Protoss player. He's really looking fantastic. So I'm excited to see what he can do. It's great to see Basilisk supporting him, being teammates with Cyril, Raynor, getting that support of a big team who basically said, hey, he's had one of the most astronomical rises from unknown players to being in like the top 30 players in the world. And we think he's got a lot of potential, so we want to, we want to support that. We don't want to just be a team that just hires the big names that have already built themselves up, but we want to build up a player like Trigger that we believe has the potential to defy everyone's expectations and become one of the greats of the game. So I always love checking in with Trigger and seeing what he's up to. He's also been streaming a fair bit. You guys can check him out. I think it's just, I can't remember the link. If someone can link it in chat for me. I think it's just, if you search Trigger StarCraft Twitch TV, I'm sure you'll get it. Clem's being a bit greedy coming out here. Stalker's going to get some free hits. Trigger's not watching though. A little slow on the reaction. It's a bunch of free Marine kills. Clem, what are we doing out here, dude? Throwing units away for some reason. He's got 2 Reapers coming around the left as well. Oh, actually, there's no units here. There's just the Adept. With the double Reaper joining up, that Stalker could get killed. Whoopgate's not done just yet. But actually now the Reaper's coming home because that Adept. And now you know that there's 2 Reapers as well, so it does feel like this is still a good opening for Trigger, putting all those Marines very low, damaging the Hellion, keeping Clem kind of back on his side of the map, and you still got your second gate, you've got your Robo. He's going to go for a third gas is Trigger, interesting. Two Reapers in the Hellion coming around the left, 3 Stalkers more than ready for it. Oh, that's a dead Hellion. Oh, he's got a proxy gate. Are we thinking of going 4-gate blink, but with a forward gateway, perhaps? Interesting. No, just a third base for now. Okay. Reapers are there. Blink won't be ready for another 40 seconds. I like that Trigger's just saying disciplined, leaving his Stalkers in his natural. He's not getting lured out right now. He's like, yeah, it could be a Widowmine drop coming in. Do I really want to get pulled out of position? And he's, trying to stay a little bit more conservative. He's got his Stalkers spread out front, 2 Stalkers in the main. Medevac comes in. Both sides have seen this. You can see them both select these units, which means they're both aware. The other player's got those units there watching them. Oh, it's actually proxy Dark Shrine. No way. Problem with this proxy Dark Shrine is if that Raven decides to go around the bottom edge and he sees this, then obviously it doesn't do anything. However, if you can wait for the Raven to come to your side of the map, be harassing you, and then you go in with Dark Templar, it can be pretty effective. Ooh, did Trigger see? Get out of there, Trigger. Oh, he's going to lose it. Yeah, he gets it. Nice play by Clem. Gets the Observer. At least you know there is a Raven out now. This is a very tricky play by Trigger. This is not a, oh, I've got to commit to the Dark Templar. It was third base, then Proxy Dark Shrine. He's going to go charge Stalker behind it. Interesting. Oh, he's trying to block the scouting really hard. And he does. The Reapers go down. Clem is not getting that much information, is he? Widowmine drop's coming around, though. This base does look a little bit different. Like,
complete.
You know, if you see everything in here as Clem, I think you start to freak out a little bit. Oh, he sees the Stalkers, goes in, goes out. All right, going up to 8 gateways now is Trigger. If you can get the Raven on the move across the map, then hit with some Dark Templar on the counterattack. Defend with Mass Stalker Zealot. Single sentry for Guardian Shield. Not a bad setup. Clem is going into Widowmine production. He only built a single siege tank in this game. Oh, that could be a free siege tank if you're not careful. Clem, oh man, he loses it. And you want the Raven even more, but you don't want to give away the fact that you're going Dark Templar by obsessing over sniping the Raven, right? Oh, Trigger was distracted. Widowmine drop came in and got 6 probes. I think Clem must have done some retargeting or some burrow on burrow micro. Trigger does take it out though, which means no more Widowmines left in the back of the base. That's very important because he needs to focus on the front right now. Dark Templar run in, but Clem sees it immediately. What the hell? Did Clem see it when they were running past, or did he screw up by letting it attack? Maybe. He might have screwed up by letting it attack. As Trigger in that scenario, you shouldn't be attacking. You should be running straight into the mineral line with one in the main, one in the natural, and then, only then showing that tech. That sneaky tech has not paid off. Trigger went for a bit of a surprise. Now he's lost 3 Stalkers, 2 Dark Templar for just a few Marines, tanks, and Widow Mines. He doesn't have splash damage. He's on a gateway army. 12 Zealots. He's going to go in with a big backstab. 10 Zealots on the natural going after these guys. They do kill 1 barracks, no cancel, but the bio army at the front shoving in. Oh, Clem. Oh my god, the probes try to split off, but Clem gets a big, juicy 9 probe shot. Woo! Very nice. Zealots chasing after these SCVs, starting to rip them up as well. Trigger can somehow find a way to hang on to this base. This would be incredible. His Nexus does go down. Zealots are breaking through, though. He's actually done a lot of damage to Clem. Clem wants more. Clem's going to dive inside the main base. Recall does go down on a whole big pack of units. Stalker sentries there trying to chase this down. Oh, man, this is so hard for Trigger to deal with. He just doesn't have much meat to deal with this big bio ball. And Clem makes a good choice to just get out of there. Leaves a Marine and a Marauder behind. Bit of a mistake for Trigger to not clean those up. Warping in more Dark Templar. It looks like he's thinking about targeting the turret on the natural. Oh, the Immortals are getting focused down. Yeah, Clem a bit too good with the repositioning. Sneaky Dark Shrine was a cute idea, but it did not pay off. I'm going to have to rewind this game and check. Was it Clem just being really good at noticing the Dark Templar happening to look at home at the right time? Was there a bit of luck, or was it that Trigger screwed up by letting the Dark Templar attack the rally of units and thereby giving him warning? Archons run in. Oh, the Dark Templar run in and morph into an Archon, I should say. Zealot Archon's going to clean up those Marauders. Finally, Clem realizes, turns his other units around. His SCV's all very damaged. The Archon hiding in the back of the mineral line does go down, finally. Clem cleaning up, going back to mine. He's got a 3rd base down. He's going to make an orbital there as well. 34 probe, 2 base Protoss. And Clem even scans the left, confirms there was no 4th base this whole time. And 69 supply Protoss. Only the power of memes remaining. Trigger is basically knocked out of this game. Oh, no! He fired it too late. You gotta fire that early, man. Oh, another one! Oh, the second one gets 14 kills! That was pretty slick, man. Nice blink to dodge the Widow Mine there. That was pretty cool. The power of 69 supply and 2 balls. Does manage to get a big explosion on his opponent's face, but despite that being a bit of an embarrassing moment for Clem, he is so far ahead. He's just out producing the Protoss. He's up 13 army supply. There's no real comeback mechanics other than those disruptors, with which there's only 1 building right now. That Marine gets his face shot off by that Archon's lightning. Probe's going to move out to try to retake a 3rd. Stalker Zealot's going to dive in, try to desperately get some damage. Doesn't matter how fancy you try to make it sound, though. Going for a technical counter-assault and trying to get some damage. You're down 20 army supply and 20 worker supply. The longer this goes, the further you are falling behind. Yet right now, your army's weaker than your opponent, so you don't really have a play. Your play is make Dark Templar and hope that Clem falls asleep. Still got that missile turret in the natural. Here we go. Attacks on the left to try and distract. Dark Templar coming in. But look at that. He's so on point, man. He's so on point. Clem just shutting everything down. 4 a.m. be damned. This man is a French force to be reckoned with. He loses 5 SCVs, but he just starts a new turret. He's building more Bio, Vikings, Widow Mines. And no doubt Ghosts will be coming out in the near future now that he has his Ghost Academy up. Dark Templar to defend that side. Stalker's getting chased down on the left. The Stim Bio hunting down these Stalkers. Woo! Zealots coming on the left. They take the Widow Mine. Trigger has to tap. Alright guys, we got Trigger in the bottom left. Gonna go gas first, which means he's doing a no scout build. Being a little bit greedy here, whereas Clem is gonna go for a proxy 2nd barracks, I believe. Interesting. So it's a barracks, a gas, and then does he proxy Marauders off a 2nd barracks? Surely you're not just scouting this early. Unless he expects Trigger to be really cheesy. Unless he really disrespects Trigger's abilities in a straight up game and he thinks, nah, Trigger's just going to cheese. Oh, it's an eBay block. Or it's that. I don't know why. I actually just realized I haven't seen an eBay block in a while in this matchup. It's actually been like a month or more. I don't know how it's been that long. I must have just missed all the games where it's happened, but probe spotted early enough. That's a pretty big probe pool, so it's a pretty good reaction that you're getting out of Trigger. But one of those probes is not attacking. This probe is not the smartest. Trigger does fix it up. It's still, that probe is still not attacking. It's still just standing there. There we go. Hanging out on Smoko, man. I'm on Smoko, so leave me alone. I don't know why he sent another probe out. That's interesting. Looks like he's going to go out maybe for a proxy. Interesting. Factory and reactor on the way behind it. Of course, the command center does get delayed with this build. It's a very quick factory off of this gas first opening, right? I think with this build, you normally go gas first, barracks, and then... Actually, I think he just went barracks, then gas. I think you can still get the factory at the same time because you're not building a Reaper. So the only thing you're spending gas on is the factory and then the reactor. Probe's just going to scout to see if he's expanded or not and try to confirm if the factory's on the reactor. This is perfect scout timing by Trigger. This is really smart play. Look at this. He sees the factory on the reactor, so he knows it's Hellions or Widow Mines 2 at a time. And that means you have to play extra safe as Trigger. He's already got a super fast Stargate. He's got a depth building. It's a good setup. I think this is a very nice matchup of builds for him. However, proxy starport. Wow. Ooh, Clem going highly aggressive. Trigger knows this is an option. I would never think to scout here, personally. I've never seen someone proxy in that location. And that might just be why it's the perfect spot. He's scouring just about everywhere else. He's going to be Phoenix play. He should have 2 Phoenix out by the time the medevac arrives. Clem with a supply block. Ooh. Even 3 or 4 seconds there can make a big difference because 3 or 4 seconds often means an extra Phoenix or an extra Adept is on the map. It's going to be 4 Hellions joining up with that medevac, boosting into that main base. It's technically a tiny gap in the vision there where he could drop without being seen, or up there. Unlikely he finds either of those. Probably just goes straight in over the production. And does get spotted on the way in. Where's the Phoenix? Phoenix went to the right side. Ooh, you got to get these Phoenix back in position, man. Probe comes in, still sees no expansion. He knows this is a very aggressive build from the Terran. Phoenix and Adept's trying to come back. He's got to shade up here right now. He's got to pick up another Hellion. He's got to shade up. Oh my god, 3 probes already going down. This is a problem. This is a very big problem for the Protoss player. But he's got 2 Phoenix out. 2 more Phoenix with lifts. And that means only 5 probes. If he picks up the Hellions right now, only 5. Oh wait, there's one to the right that didn't die. The one to the right did not die. Oh, he ends up losing 8. Slight mistake there for Trigger. It's not the end of the world. 8 probes, it could be worse. It's still bad. But the command center is only now floating down for Clem. So it's absolutely a playable position as long as you do not miss any probe production afterwards. Notice he's always got double probe skewed. Chrono's both Nexi. Phoenix will go forwards and they got to pull back quickly. 4 Phoenix can kill a Cyclone pretty quickly. 3 really struggle though, especially if there's Marines nearby. So if the Cyclone's just sitting on the edge, easy pick up and kill that. But you don't know where the Marines are, so you got to be very, very cautious. Yeah. Even though it is like 4 or 5 a.m., whatever it is for Clem, the man only really ever looks tired when he's playing StarCraft if you get him up before 2 p.m. in the afternoon. If you make him play at like midday, he's like a walking zombie. He looks like he's half asleep the whole time. But he's normally not sleeping till like 8 a.m., so makes sense. Dep's trying to shade backwards. Phoenix trying to pull out of range. They break the lock on. Stim Shields is on the way. Expect double reactor on the starport and the factory. Trigger has got a 3rd Nexus up. It's not a super early 3rd by any means. He's going to go Twilight and a couple of extra gateways. So it looks like he wants to play a charge follow-up. Charge Phoenix is a pretty good style. If you can get the perfect surrounds. MaxBax was actually beating Clem, I would say, with this style earlier today. But then he started going Archons, which don't really add anything to a Zealot Phoenix style. Unless you've got a really good flank. And then obviously it's a nice way to spend your gas eventually. The problem is they can be out-microed because they're only 3 range, just like the Zealots can. And MaxBax kept attacking from the front over and over again and just like losing a few Zealots for free, losing a few Zealots for free. And you just saw Clem's army supply get bigger and bigger. And Clem was doing a desperate 2-base all-in in that game, but it ended up working, and I really think like you need to have decisive engagements. With any melee army versus ranged army, you can't just have a standoff where you're both dancing back and forth. It doesn't work because your units are melee. So every time there's a skirmish, the ranged army gets way more attacks off than a hand-to-hand army. A melee army needs it to be a big, messy, committed fight for them to actually land attacks correctly. Oh, that's really nice. Takes a bit of damage, but only a little, and gets 2 Widow Mines. Really well done. Clem's immediately going to pick up and go for a 12 Marine drop out the left. Woo, dangerous. But he's going to get away with it. Now, if you play this Mass Zealot style on 2 gas, you guys know I'm a big expert in this style, you need pylons all along the edges of the map, specifically because a drop getting you in your main, especially if he moves forward with Mass Zealot Phoenix, it can just win the game. And if Clem gets any warning, by the way, of what's going on, so if he just distracts you with a drop, then boosts out, he starts to realize, hey, this is Mass Zealot Phoenix. Clem doesn't have to push. He can build a 3rd command center in his main, make a 4th and 5th barracks, and basically just wait this one out. Because the bigger the army gets, the worse Zealot Phoenix gets. Double drop in the main. Adepts are nearby. Zealots aren't too far away. Probes very quickly do react there. Good reaction by Trigger. Adepts and Zealots are going to clean it up. Seeing the charge, Clem's realizing, oh, I know what I'm up against. Look at that. Marines dropping in a bit of a choke point here. Oh, he's really abusing the positioning while his army pushes down the right. Oh, man, the Phoenix are going to start taking losses here. He loses 2 Phoenix. And look at that. They're holding the choke point versus the Zealots, focusing down more probes. He shoves the right side at the same time. And now the Zealots are attacking in a little bit of a sloppy manner, taking a big Widow Mine hit. You can see here, like I said, you can't take front-on fights or small skirmishes because the Bio gets a ton of damage and they should just get out. Like, Clem should run home right now because he should know Trigger just wants to overwhelm him and force a giant fight right here, right now. Yeah, you might not have a 3rd command center, but you should not be on this side of the map. This is a bad mistake for Clem to leave his units here. I don't know how he managed to get past that Bio, those Zealots at all. Actually manages to escape with some of his units, a lot of them even. The Zealot army right now has +1, +2 is on the way. Always been a bigger fan of +1 armor personally to make them more tanky. He's going to go Robo. Normally the transition off this is to try to get up 4 gas and go for a Colossus. But it's a long way away for a 50 per Protoss that took all that damage that Trigger did. He's not even mining gas in his main right now. I think he's only getting the Robos for detection because he figures, hey, a lot of people try to counter these styles by going an armory, make their Widow Mines invisible. And, oh, big fight, but no flank for the Zealots. Good pickups on the Widow Mines, though. Oh, my God. But he didn't get all of them. He didn't get all of them. And, oh, those last few Widow Mines that rally in get massive hits, man. I think he needed to drop some of those Widow Mines in the back and then move forward with those Phoenix to pick up the next Widow Mines to make that worth it. As it is, that's an important hold. Clem's micro is so good. And like I said, you really need to set up a full flank on his army because he's just so good at his stutter step. If you don't completely surround him, you're going to have a bad time. Double medevac snipe with the Phoenix. Great move by Trigger there. I feel like after a rough start, Trigger's playing a very good down and dirty style of Mass Zealot Phoenix. Oh, he's got to pull out. Okay, careful, Triggs. Still, he's got so many Zealots, but he needs them on 2 different control groups. You can't be using your Zealots in one big ball. If you come from the right and the left at the same time, it's like Clem can't really micro anywhere. But if you run in from one side, that's where things get very bad for Trigger. Notice Trigger's trying to move across the top of the map now. He's in a big spread. Those Zealots are kind of set up as a bit of a flank right now. But once again, he's attacking from one side. Clem pulls through the choke point. Widow Mines are going to get devastating shots. Oh my God. Oh my God. Crazy Widow Mine damage on those Zealots. And notice how here, even here, it's like, well, the Protoss has the numbers to win the fight, but he just doesn't have a way of holding them in place. Finally, the Phoenix getting some pickoffs, picks those units up, drops them into the Zealots and the Immortals. I think he might have chased a bit too far, though. He's still trying to chase and force the issue. He's got to back off. That Immortal's going to get run down now, and that was a very good fighting retreat there for Clem. You give this man space to micro his units, and he will show you that he is born of the gods. A little Hercules here in StarCraft, honestly. It feels like he has superhuman strength. Whenever he's got any path to try and escape a bad fight, he always finds a way out. Five Phoenix, 1 Immortal, 17 Zealots. Problem is 1-1's done. Widow Mine count continues to grow. These are all bad signs for a player who's on Mass Zealot. This is an all-in style. Trigger needed one big decisive engagement much earlier, and he never really had a big economic lead or anything, so it was always going to be based off of the first 1 or 2 battles to decide the game. Phoenix are trying to drag the Widow Mine's friendly fire, but ends up dragging it a little bit further back. Great pullback micro with the Marines backing away, letting the Marauders tank a little. Then he comes back for it. Marauder will not escape the concussive Marauders. But look at the pullbacks. Just so good for Clem. So crisp, man. The medevacs do spaz out a bit because he micros it so well. But that's just a side effect of your Marines and Marauders barely getting hit. Units lost stab almost 3,500 in favor of Clem here. And honestly, just rock solid play. I really like the way Trigger played this game, but it was all that drop in the main that was the big problem, because it scouted what Trigger was up to, so Clem knew what he was facing, and it got a big amount of economic damage, getting a whole bunch of probes there, and then a few on the third as well. Really nice setup for Clem. Alright everybody, let's go game 3. The chance for the comeback starts here. Come on Trigger, show us what you got, mate. It's Gresvin, he's in the top left. His opponent in the bottom right, such a beast with his micro. And I think just getting a little bit too much damage done with that opening Hellion drop, forcing Trigger into a bit of a desperate style. He played it pretty well. Just that first drop slipping by him is so hard to come back from that. Good progress so far, getting some fair damage out. And just going to have to go back and regenerate for the next 15 seconds. I think going back and taking that last hit's a problem, because now he's not really able to block the command center. Oh, maybe just barely. Oh yeah, actually good micro by Trigger. Gets in here right on 400 minerals and blocks it. He's just patrolling, he's not manually microing it, so he maybe could have blocked slightly longer if he did. Just focusing on his build at home. Cybercore into Nexus, into second gas. Second pylon's already up on the natural, of course. And Clem's going Reaper this game. Now, Reaper is not walled off. Trigger is not building the wall off. And there's gives and takes to this. I really feel like the wall off is so frustrating as a Reaper player because you just can't get the scouting information. On the other hand, later on, those buildings on the edge of the cliff suck. It's really annoying having them exposed there. The Terran inevitably will find a way to snipe those from the low ground. Oh. Okay, so the Reaper gets a few hits on the Adept. Adept starts shading across the map. Twilight Council is on the way, so it looks like a blink opening for Trigger. And it is a factory coming up behind this. So 2 Marines, Reaper into 2 Marines, then the Reactor. The Gumiho Special, very common there. Hellions on the way, as well as a Starport now building. 2 Marines in a bunker. Does damage an Adept pretty quickly, so you got to be careful. Oh, watch out! That SCV had already taken hits from a probe, so nice snipe for Trigger. Oh, actually dodges the grenade. Wow, well done. Hits the Reaper once, just shades away there. No point getting baited into chasing the Reaper. Staying on the high ground's a good idea. Oh, Clem's not watching, Clem's not watching! He's gonna get it! Oh, the Reaper had regened a little bit, so it survives the 2 shots with just 2 hit points. That would have been such a good start for Trigger if he was able to stop that. Remember, the Reaper hasn't really seen anything just yet, but now that's still alive. Trigger does block the jump-in point on the bottom, and it is a Robo after 2 gates. Pretty quick blink on the way. Raven coming out, second barracks starting there for Clem. I don't think Trigger will want to play 4-gate blink up against Clem. Clem's very safe against that. He's played so many games against Max Specs and Hero doing it recently. And there we go. Reaper gets shut down, but he's seen a few Stalkers, so he can surmise that it's blink play. He also knows there's no third base. So if you know there's no third, you know that it's, blink play as well. You're kind of like, okay, build a bunker if I don't have one. Get out at least 2 siege tanks for safety. Get the barracks over onto the tech labs. If he stops at just 1 siege tank, that is Clem being very greedy. Because he doesn't know the gases are missing. Or the gases are up. He doesn't know that this is in fact going to be the storm drop style that Creator crushed Clem with earlier today. Yeah, if Clem goes Raven and 3 tanks like he did in Game 1 versus Creator, he'll be in a bad spot. Second siege tank does start. Third gas is up and mining Clem. Close to a supply block, but you'll notice with these top Terran pros, he hits a supply block and the depot's only about 7-8 seconds from finishing. So it's even when they make small mistakes like that, it's always it's diminished, it's minimized by just how consistent they are at everything else. And the occasional slight supply block is not in itself a super bad thing. As long as it's only a few seconds. It's those big supply blocks where you're just sitting there for 30 seconds not building anything. Those are the ones that really hurt. Storm is on the way, as well as Charge, the Nexus building. Shield battery at the front. In that game earlier today, basically what Creator did is he stopped at about 50 probes and then just kept making Zealot Archon and Storm. And because he'd already cleaned up a 3-tank Raven push by feedbacking the Raven out of the sky, storming, jumping on top of the tanks, Creator just stayed on that count. And I mean, Clem's macro was so good, it looked like the game was still not even, but Creator was only a little ahead. But by cutting probes, he came across and just wiped the floor with Clem. Clem could not defend his third base, even though he had Widowmine spread all around. He had a big pre-spread on his bio, didn't take any really bad storms, and he still just got overrun. So I wonder if Trigger tries something like that. He stopped at 54 workers so far, so it looks similar to that style. It's a good build, man. It's going to be... How many gateways is that, guys? 7. 7 gateways. Okay. He's building Immortals. So 7 gate plus Immortal production will keep you going. Probing up a little more, though, is Trigger. So it looks like he does want to go to 60 probes rather than 50, saturating that base. That Observer needs to get out of there if he wants to keep it alive. Stalkers only managed to pick off 1 Marine on the first round. You got to be careful with the Marauders. So fragile defending in these scenarios. Could have got a free volley or 2 off on that Marauder if you really wanted to. For now, though, just making sure he doesn't lose any units. Tracking where the army's coming from. Yeah, good movement by Trigger. Okay. Got the Storm Drop ready. Zealots, Archons, Immortals. Here comes Clem. Big push. But where's the feedback? He hasn't set up for the feedback. And you know Clem's going to look for the Interference Matrix on the Prism. If he can Interference Matrix the Prism and stop that Storm Drop, then he'll be big. Oh, the Prism's out of scan vision. It's out of scan vision. He doesn't see it coming. Here we go. Big storms coming all across. Oh, Interference Matrix is a little bit too late. The Archon morphs there on the low ground. The Zealots chasing off to the left side. A bit awkward. That leaves the Immortals and Archons out in the open a little bit. An Archon goes down, as does an Immortal. Blink and some feedbacks on the Medivacs, but they get away. You're not happy with that fight as Trigger. You could have killed everything, but you didn't have enough Stalkers focus firing the Medivacs. And those couple of Marines that split to the left pulled a few Zealots there. That's why that Immortal went down. I mean, I said you're not happy. What I meant is he wanted to win the game right there. He got a good fight. It was still a great fight for Trigger. Don't get me wrong. Definitely misspeaking by saying, oh, he's not happy with that. I'm saying, oh, he wanted more. He's still in a great spot, though. Clem finds himself at home, pre-spreading Widowmine, spreading his units out. We've got cannons going up, 1 in each base, except for the natural, as he's thinking there might be a Widowmine drop follow-up. Very common for Terrans to try and Widowmine drop a player who's playing a Storm sort of style. Not many Stalkers here right now. There's 9 Stalkers, though, so some are coming across the map. Oh, he's going for it. Okay, good Storm to start. The Storm on the top only hit 1 Marine and 1 Marauder. That's another good Storm, though. This is a very good attack. He's warping in Zealots on the front line. Stalkers, Immortals, and Archons routing this position. Dude, this style looking pretty good. Can't quite kill the command center. He does take out a few Medivacs. Oh, those Widow Mines punishing him, though. He just lost a lot of Stalkers. He's lost 7 Stalkers now, has Trigger in this game. Good choice to pull back. He has a 4th Nexus about halfway built. He can build another maybe 10 workers. Start the Colossus transition. He's got +2 on the way. I actually think Trigger's in a great position right now. I also would have loved to see him Storm Drop in the follow-up. He's made 3 more High Templar, so he can cycle those in. He could Storm Drop some workers as well on, say, the natural. Just come in here and bam, bam. That's when Clem's in a very bad spot. Widowmine drop on the top coming in. See if Trigger spotted it. It's on his minimap, top left, top left, top left. He's not noticed it. He has not noticed it. It's going into his main. He's building a cannon and battery on his 4th. Luckily, he has a cannon in his main, and Clem's just idling that Widowmine drop for now. I think Clem is kind of waiting for there to be a distraction going on at the same time. If he knows the army's on the map and Trigger's kind of out there, he'll probably go in with the Widowmine drop, but for now, he doesn't want to do it on his own. Oh, holy moly! Speak of the devil. I was talking about a Storm Drop being a great way to follow this up. He does it, gets 8 SCVs and a bit of mining time. Fantastic damage, 72 workers versus 50. But remember, Clem still has the bigger army. It's still the more lethal army, and leaving your army in the middle of the map like this is lazy for Trigger. He's probably just looking for a bit of a surprise, but it is what it is. Widowmine dropping the main and the natural. Uh-oh. Okay. Only 2 probes on that one, and looks like he will potentially lose these Widowmines as well. Army's coming through the middle of the map. Ooh-wee. Okay, those Medivacs actually both going to get home, which is really nice for him. Zealots are going to hit the 3rd, though. Oh, he's standing in vision. Trigger, he went in a bit too early. Okay, there we go. Does show himself, but Clem had extra time to react. Only loses 3 SCVs. These rocks in the north getting broken down. Trigger, he's not expecting this. Oh, he's not expecting this. He's got to get up here. He's got a little bit of High Templar energy. Not a lot, but a little bit. Oh, okay, the Zealots and the Archons take those first Widow Mines. Lovely Matrix coming out of Clem. Oh my god, but if the Storm gets out of that prism, that's going to be a problem. And even without the Storm unloading, he was getting ravaged by Zealots at home. Let me show you guys. Those Zealots at home forced him off his third. These guys are coming in from behind. And he's realizing, wait, my army's getting whittled down. And I haven't even been able to kill any of these Immortals or Archons. Zealots from behind. Storm was about to activate. Very well played by Trigger. Oh, heck yeah. He's got a point on the board. Trigger, representing Basilisk in the top right. Team Liquid's Clem in the bottom left. Losing a map there. That style's been giving him troubles, man. The Storm drop into the third base build is just... It's a very nice way to mix things up. And I think for Clem, the struggle is figuring out what the hell is the Protoss doing? So he wants earlier tech to help figure that out this game. He's going to go gas first this time around. Because are they playing Stargate? Are they playing Twilight? That's the first problem. But then you've got another problem after that. Where basically you're saying, okay, that was the first thing I wanted to know. Now I also have got to figure out, are you going Storm or Colossus? Are you 4-gate blinking me? Because if I know you're going Storm, and you're not going to be aggressive with Stalkers, I don't need to build 2 siege tanks. If I know you're going High Templar, I don't need to build a Raven, right? These are all things where Clem, if he can figure out what's happening, he can cut some corners, but Trigger's done a very good job of denying scouting. We'll see if he can keep that up in this game. Just going to harass the SCV there. Give it a bit of a tasey-tase. Soften him up a little bit. Does want to preserve the hit points and shields, though, to block the command center. That's the most impactful thing you can do. Orbital has to wait a few seconds because the barracks is a few seconds delayed with the gas first. And actually, engineering bay block again. Oh, cool. Clem playing disruptive styles here. This is what he did on altitude, right? Into the reacted Hellion drop. Nexus? Okay. Nexus has been delayed, but Command Center has to be delayed as well for this sort of build. Second gas is definitely not very early. There we go. Finally goes down. Warp Gate's been delayed a fair little bit. Makes me think Trigger wanted to play Stargate, but he's going to go for Warp Gate now. Now, the probe saw the SCV returning home, so Trigger knows it's not going to be the medevac drop again. It's actually really cool. Command Center starts at about 2 minutes 20, a good 30 seconds after the Nexus. And the Twilight Council is going to go down in just a sec here. There we go. All things considered, not too bad an opening on either side. You've delayed the Protoss, but you also yourself have delayed your Command Center. Trigger's getting a bit of scouting off. I'm kind of cheering for Trigger because I'd like to see a game 5. Beating Max Bex and Beyond in the same day, and then beating Clem or even taking Clem to a game 5 would be so impressive. Second gateway on the way. I think that was a game we cast way back when on... what was the map with the Burning Blizzard office on it? Whatever that map was called, where I think Trigger beat Solo with like a 10-minute protracted 2-base blink all in. I think that was the first time where I really went, holy crap, Trigger has something special. Ooh, Adept barely gets out of there. Let's see this Cyclone Marine pressure. This is not a very serious pressure. It's more of a poke. Behind it, second and third barracks before Starport. See there, it locks onto the wrong Adept, you could argue. Oh, shield battery's not quite ready. Losing some of your firepower sucks there as Protoss. If you have 2 Adepts and a Stalker, much scarier for the Terran player to deal with. Stalker's going to pick off a Marine or 2 if he goes out and focuses it. And start that Robo, which has already been delayed by the distraction. This is actually really effective harassment by Clem. The Robo got super heavily delayed. He should know that. If he's paying attention, he's like, hey, Robo's normally on the natural. Where's the Robo? It could technically be in the main. You don't know that for sure, though. We're expecting a Starport and then a reactor on the factory in the near future. Clem is very strapped for cash. That expansion being so late, it's not super smooth. You can see he can't even afford SCVs right now. He goes Starport, reactor, and then Marine Marauder over SCV production. Ooh, Clem. Clem is going to have a very crisp, powerful army out on this map, but he's not really giving much love and attention to his economy. He's up against 4-gate Blink. Trigger has built what we call the Stalker turret. For those who don't know, the Stalker turret is where you accidentally warp your Stalker into a position where it can't leave while waving your mouse around doing the rapid-fire warp-in like a magic wand. As soon as Blink's ready, he will be able to move it out of there. Prism coming out. I mean, 4-gate Blink should give him enough numbers to deflect this pressure. If he catches anything like this Marine Marauder move out with a pack of Stalkers, that'd be fantastic for Trigger. Dept doesn't see it though, so if he moves forward, starts attacking, and then these units sandwich him from behind, ooh, that's where you have a bad day. And those Marines are in vision, I believe. If the Stalkers move to the left ever so slightly, they'll see it. Marines actually have less vision than Stalkers, I believe, by 1. Stalker Adept coming forward. Okay, Marine Marauder Cyclone is there. Oh god, the sandwich. He's going to be blinking back weak Stalkers, and he's going to get stimmed on from behind. Stim and Shields is both finished. You got to be careful. Oh, he sees it. He sees it. Get out of there, Trigger. Down to the right. Get out of there, Trigger. I don't think he was paying attention. Run, run, run. Blink, 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 blink. Good blink away. Remember, there's only 2 medevacs out. Not a lot of healing available. Stalkers need to turn and fight to save the Prism. Prism. Oh my god, the Prism needs to unload. He loses a Stalker in the Prism. I mean, it could have been worse there with that ambush being pulled by Clem. Right, gets a few more unit kills. We've got Charge on the way. 3rd base is almost finished. Robo Bay building as well as some sentries. Clem's was supply blocked on 85 for a little bit there. He almost immediately gets supply blocked when his depot finishes. He really needs Gary to join Bruce in the depot building to make sure that doesn't happen too much. Stalkers gonna just chip away. All they're really doing is lowering the medevac energy. They're just kind of softening the army up for the future, not killing any actual units, which is the higher value way of doing this pressure. So Trigger's been a little defensively minded with his harassment with the Stalkers. He's not really focus firing as much as he could. There we go. That was a bit better. Focus fires a Marauder down. 8 Marine drop in the main, though. 8 Marine drop in the main is always a big problem in this scenario. Observer did not see that pickup. Let's go to Clem's Trigger's camera, see how he handles it, guys. He's looking at his main. He sees it. He sees it. Okay. You got to split your army right now. He's got to split his army really well. He was clearly shocked by that. He's sending Zealot Sentry to deal with it, but Charge ain't ready. Probes evacuate pretty quickly. Warps in a few more units. It's just a single medevac, which is good. But he's been out positioned in the middle. Oh no! We're back on everyone's camera, guys. We can see everything now. And here goes Clem. A sneaky move through the middle. The Stalkers are like, where'd you go? The distraction is all you need. A moment's distraction. Protoss loses track of where you are, and that's when they really struggle. And now he's F2'd back to the front in panic. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now he's losing all of these Stalkers. He's lost 5 Stalkers. So many of them still alive, but heavily wounded as well in this game. Looks like 4 or 5 probes will go down in the main. Those last 2 Marines getting some good damage. The Stalkers were blocking the Zealots, unfortunately. They finally clean that up. You can bring everything back to the front. Maybe leave a Stalker or 2 up there if you really want. Colossus does hit the field. Trigger, that could have gone much worse. He only lost 5 probes. He can resaturate the main. It's a little supply block, but he's building a few pylons. He's got his first Colossus out. Nice force fields. Trapped 2 Marauders and a pack of Marines. Ooh, double drop on the south, though. And this Observer should not be here. Trigger should have pulled this Observer back and put this somewhere in a middle position to try and track where the army is. Zealots get spotted by the drop. Oh, okay. Clem? Hello? Oh, he's trying to get him with the Widow Mines. Oh, that was meant to be a big bait. He was trying to get the Zealots to clump up. He didn't think Trigger would be looking and trying to get the big booms. But I think that's an okay trade for Trigger to at least push that drop back for now. Oh, the Spire Army's right there. Second Colossus being delayed is huge. I really think the delay on this second Colossus from the supply block and all of that distraction is so massive. Double Forge is going to go down now. Trigger's going to try and fight back in this game. And I think Trigger might be a little frustrated because he did let things get a little bit sloppy when he lost track of that army. But I always talk about this map as this is the map where you cannot possibly track the Terran. There's too many paths. There's too many different choke points and angles and high grounds. You'll always lose track of their army at some point on Ancient Cistern. And even though this is a Protoss map that a lot of Terrans veto, it is a map where Terran multi-prong excels. And Protoss really struggle to deal with all that. Going to try to move out to take a 4th base. Second Robo is on the way. 2 Colossus are out. 1-1 upgrades. 7 Zealots. And I'd like to see maybe go straight into Disruptors or Immortals from here. Maybe don't go for the 4th Colossus. Probably 3 Colossus is usually like non-negotiable, but only got 2 so far. Denying the 4th base again. Clem has really got the momentum. You can feel that Trigger's a little bit annoyed. I would say he's very annoyed right now. It's just like little things like double sniping the probe trying to take the 4th. That is a pain in the ass. That's something you don't have happen to you unless you feel like you start to feel like, am I outskilled? Is he toying with me? What's going on? And another supply block. Ah, finally he has an immortal starting here. But definitely behind the curve. Ghosts are on the field. The Viking count's growing. There's going to be 6 Vikings in a moment. 60 workers versus 68 Terran SCVs. A 5th command center, or 4th command center, sorry, is building right now. Going up to 8 barracks as well in the main. Armor upgrades about to kick in for Terran. Still a good 45-50 seconds until 1-1 finishes for Protoss. Clem, is he going to split his army? Nope. Observer gets spotted. He scans it down. There's another observer off to the left. Stalkers are well positioned. I don't think Clem can force the fight just yet. That being said, there's no shield battery. Force fields. Ooh, you gotta watch for those force fields, man. Those force fields getting the choke point. Oh, big force fields for Trigger. Absolutely devastating force fields, ripping Clem's army apart. Clem did manage to save some of the units with that quick pickup, but that was a very scary moment for the Terran. Trigger now is able to find a little bit of freedom to probe up his 4th base. He's got +2 attack starting. Doesn't have the gas for +2 armor just yet. He's going to make Blink Dark Templar. I totally disagree. I don't know. It's okay. I guess the reason... I feel like it's going to be hard to afford all of this. Did he get extended thermal lance? He did. He's going to build 2 more Colossi right now. Interesting. The Dark Templar could force a big reaction. Oh my god. He immediately spots it and scans it. Clem is so quick. He hasn't built turrets on his bases though. He's just building them now. Turrets starting to build everywhere. Army coming in on that base. That's not enough Protoss to defend this. Uh-oh. He's got to stay back there. Battery overcharge is pretty much essential. Whole army's trying to come in, but that means Clem's backstab on the top left will catch Trigger off guard. He sees it right now. Got a small squad of units ready to deal with it. Interesting. Goes out there. Jumps on top. If he can get rid of the ghost, that'd be huge. Oh, he does. Nicely done. Trigger blinks back. Colossus skirmishing there. This army chasing him back as well. Trigger somehow chasing Clem back on the map, despite Clem having what appeared to be a much bigger army supply. It's only up about 16 army supply right now. A lot of his supply, I guess, is in production. A lot of it's medevacs. No 5th command center just yet. 2-2 upgrades do start for Clem, but they are behind the 2-2 of Trigger significantly. 5th base goes down for Trigger in the top. Trigger still does not have a lot of room to work with. He's got Dark Templar Blink. He's chronoing his 2-2. He's only got 8 gateways production. He's making a mixture of Immortals and Disruptors now. 4 Immortals in the army? That's cool, man. That is a lot of firepower. Those guys do 60 damage a shot to Marauders with +2. Oh, Stalkers blink forward, start taking out some Vikings. Force fields are amazing here. Trigger taking a very good fight. I think the Colossus should probably disengage, but he's just going for broke. He's saying, screw it, get in there. The Immortals aren't really fighting right now. They're stuck behind, but the numbers... Oh, the blink forward. The EMP Marauder slays the Stalkers. Maybe if he had like 8 more Zealots coming in from the south during that fight, that would have been different. Trigger takes a very decisive battle. I worry that he doesn't have the money to replace it, though. That's the scary thing for him. And the Immortals are still decent units. You got to be really careful here as Clem. Clem's just not afraid to dance on the edge of danger, is he? Most of the Vikings went down, only 3 left, and there are 2 more Colossi building, as well as 5 Dark Templar. So he's going to go for a bit of harassment, maybe dive into this base. There's Widow Mines, though, and a full bunker. So it does feel like Clem is actually reasonably well established. And look at this. I love this move. So what Clem does is he says, look, if there's no Colossi, I just want to not throw the Vikings away. I'll just put them at home as a defensive unit to stop run-bys. And I can use them again back in flying mode once the Colossus re-enter the battlefield. So a lot of players throw all their Vikings away. They land them in the middle of a battle. They kill 2 Zealots. They lose 10 Vikings. But he's actually being really efficient by saving those for later use. He's not got enough money to just throw things away. Dude, Trigger's up at 78 probes and he has a 5th base up. Widowmine does walk in there, very annoyingly. And only gets a single probe, luckily. Forces a cannon on that base. Trigger will clean that Widowmine up. Clem gets to unburrow and move that away. That'd be so irritating. 2 Immortals and a Colossus say, get out of here, mate. Marine on the bottom being dealt with. There's Dark Templar and Observers all over the map. Trigger is actually in control now of his side of the map. And he's got 3-3 in line with the Terran 3-3. He's making Disruptors 2 at a time. He's still only got 2. So I still always worry at these stages. But, I mean, let's be real. I think he's okay because there's not that much to deal with it. Dark Templar trickle in and die. They don't find anything. The only way you want to use Dark Templar now in this game, I think, is if you can save up enough to make like 12 to 13, blink on, kill that planetary. If you can take out the 5th base of Clem as trigger, you're actually in a very good spot. That's a big if though. Weird fight right now. The Colossus are getting some really good damage off. So even though the Stalkers were dying to the EMP Marauder, I felt like a reasonably even trade. Units lost tab is pretty much dead even so far. Trigger's going to move out and start chasing this army. Disruptors are actually in decent count. Clem's got to be really careful. He's got 7 Vikings, but only 4 of them are here right now. Balls are getting thrown. Gets a Marauder. Another ball right behind it. Okay, you know Clem's gearing up for a fight now, so I'd love to see Trigger disengage. Oh, he's in a very dangerous area here. He needs to move up to the left to get in front of Clem and his base. Look at that. Clem's actually splitting up. Clem's not going to fight front on. Clem sends a medevac to the south. He sees this army coming. Stalker's chasing after him. He thinks that's a full drop. Great disruptor shot. Clem dodges at the last minute. Minimizes the damage. Saves the ghosts, but he does still lose a pack of Marine Marauder. Army coming from the bottom right. Looking to flank this. Trigger is in the driver's seat right now. How the hell did he turn this game around? Trigger is kicking ass right now. The Vikings will be able to sacrifice themselves for the Colossus, but he's already killed the planetary. Those Immortals giving him the power to bust through planetaries like crazy. The Disruptors do get jumped on. One of those shots somehow lands. Oh, this Disruptor shot could be big. Gets a ghost, forces some of those units back. The Disruptors derping into the front a little bit. They are all gone. The Immortals doing a lot. Zealots in the natural at the same time, doing a lot of damage, cleaning up ghosts on the rally. The Immortals win the fight on the front as well. Trigger with 3 Immortals, 11 kills, 9 kills, 10 kills, and the ability to bust through planetaries like they're made of butter. Woo! Very nice, but don't go for that planetary. No, Trigger. Put it back in your pants, mate. There is no reason to go for that planetary. You will lose your army if you do that. This is a fantastic pullback by Trigger. I don't know if Clem can chase him down here. That might be a little bit too crazy for Clem. Get some snipes off, but the Ghost getting blinked on by Dark Templar, jumped on by Zealots. 3-3s finishing for both sides right now. They're both suddenly at 3-3s. The upgrades are all canceling each other out. There are 2 Disruptors out, 2 more building. 18 Zealots on the map. Trigger has the top left base. Clem's about to find it. Liberator flies over 2 cannons. Clem's so quick with his reaction speed. Repositions. Single Stalker to warp in. Should be able to deal with that. He's just going to blink one over there. Nice plays by Trigger. He's gearing up to bust the planetary. I think he might be focusing on it a little too much. That Liberator goes down. Liberator on the right side. Here we go. Oh, Clem's like, I cannot lose this base. I cannot lose this base. I already lost my 4th. I can't lose my 5th. Trying to rebuild a base behind this one as well. Liberator on the right side. Sorry, guys. Accidentally pulled away. That Disruptor only hit 1 or 2 Marines. The Buyer's trying to chase. Clem, you crazy mad dog. He's trying to distract him so that the Liberator does more damage and he succeeds. Oh, the way he's distracting him on the front. He's keeping Trigger's attention here. He's threatening with his tiny army. And he gets 11 probes with the ranged Liberator. Wow. Okay, well done. Stalkers do clean it up. They'll rejoin the army on the front. That also means there's a lot of Stalkers in the army, though, which aren't the best fighting unit. Trigger's just going to go for a bit of a base trade, maybe. He says, screw it, let's go for the production. How dare, you know, okay, you defend that base for now, but not for that long, man. You're going to have to come fight into me. He can move south and clear these bases up. Oh! Big balls flying. Clem, watch out! Clem has a lot of things to handle right now. Command Center's lifting. Stalker's taking down those exposed orbitals. Attacking a planetary may have been a bit too cavalier, but finding 2 orbitals on the south? Amazing. Disruptor's getting flanked, though. Disruptor's getting flanked. Trigger's got to be careful. Stalkers blink forward. Balls go flying. And great dodges by Clem, as to be expected. Look at these Disruptor shots landing nicely, but they're all empty right now. Clem has to tap out. Trigger! Woo! Dude, I can't believe it. Trigger was looking in a rough spot in that game. Down on economy, down on army, up against the wall, but he shows what he's made of. And I feel at this point the momentum's all on the Canadian side. All right. Who the hell knew this was going to be a barn burner? Basilisk's Trigger. Playing such good StarCraft. In the top left, we've got Team Liquid's Clem. You know, I've always said becoming a StarCraft pro player is one of the most unforgiving, hardest, longest roads. There is so much investment before there is any reward in terms of money or acclaim or anything. Like, just to get Masters or low GM, you need to put an ungodly amount of effort into this game. But Trigger is not only done that, he's now grinded through the lower ranks of being a guy who's high GM. And he's like, wow, I'm high GM. Maybe I could be a pro. And then he started playing tournaments and started getting destroyed by everyone. And he has just kept grinding these tournaments and kept improving and kept practicing. And he's just used all of his experience as a dojo to improve and get repetitions. And he keeps getting better. And with Basilisk behind him, you know, I'm so excited for him. I can't help cheer for him because he is a big underdog. I mean, I love Clem, but he's a big favorite here. This is a man that's dominated Europe multiple seasons. He's the king of Europe in the regionals. When it comes to the big premiers, obviously Rainer and Cyril are the big dogs, but he is more often one of the biggest threats in those regional tournaments. Probe is going to keep blocking here. Nice block. Gets him to about, what, 450? About 450 minerals, about 4-second delay on that command center. Just a standard Reaper opening for Clem. He did spend a while in the replay after that last game trying to figure out what went wrong. I really feel like at this point, Clem is going to play very standard. Babylon's a good map for Terran. It's a good map to play straight up. And no doubt going to try and multi-prong and just kind of do the standard dance circles around his opponent. Maybe in that last game, if he stimmed into the third base mineral line with his bio and just killed all the probes, it would have been game over. You guys know when he kind of out-positioned the army, the Stalkers lost track of him. And he kind of ran in, killed like a pylon or a battery, and then kind of ran away. It was a pylon and the battery snipe and backed off. Clem may have been able to stim in the third and just ruin Trigger there. Maybe a little bit more decisiveness on some of those pushes. All right, Reaper's coming in. Stalker pops out though. Just confirms that it's a Twilight Council opening. Second gateway goes up for Trigger. There'll be a robo behind that as well. Clem's got the factory finished. Starport's building. Idle SCV right now. That's odd. Oh, okay. He's going 3 barracks factory. Interesting. Okay, another one of these builds where you get a ton of meat out nice and early. Now, Clem did this build versus Showtime today. And what he did this on Dragon Scales. He gets a Cyclone, tries to deny scouting with a Cyclone, then builds a tank, and then he shoves with an insane amount of Marines. And I think 2 siege tanks was the count. Yeah, I think it was 2 siege tanks and like a lot of Marines with just stim and shields. It's big 2 gas timing. Medevac's heavily delayed behind it. And the way Showtime dealt with that, because he actually won that game, Clem lost it, was he dove 3 oracles in just as Clem was moving out and killed a whole bunch of the Marines on the move out. And basically was in a really good spot from then. Only lost 1 oracle to kill a Cyclone and like 5 Marines. Adept, gonna pick off an SCV if you're not careful. Good micro by Clem. Now remember guys, if a bunker's damaged and you want to put SCVs inside it, right-clicking on the bunker doesn't work. You need to select the bunker and tell it to load the SCV. So you use that like an ability once the SCV is standing next to it, and it'll actually pick up the SCV and put it inside it. Adept doesn't get too much damage. Does Trigger realize what's happening? I don't think so. That looked like a pretty normal Marine count. And he hasn't gone Observer. He's going 4-gate Blink, which gives him plenty of units to defend this push. So you've got 2 very highly aggressive builds. Now, the way you want to visualize this if you're a rookie to watching or playing StarCraft is essentially both players have their monster trucks, like a couple of 4-year-olds, and they're going to try and smash their monster truck into the other person's monster truck. Now, this is obviously a very fragile situation. Usually, whoever realizes that the other one is also trying to smash a monster truck first wins. Clem spots the 4 gateways. He says, oh, okay, I'll just turtle. And he's just going to chill, leave his tanks at home, build a second bunker. Starts an engineering bay. I expect 3rd and 4th gas and a starport to come in very soon. He knows moving out onto the map is a big problem. Trigger still doesn't realize that this is actually a 3-racks, but he's playing an economic version anyway, which makes sense. He was scouted. He says, oh, you'll probably play very safe. Drops a quick 3rd nexus behind it, takes a 4th gas, keeps probing up. It's actually the correct response for Trigger as well. He now sees the tank. He sees multiple barracks. Might start to dawn on him seeing those 2 Marauders so early that, wait a second, this guy's actually got a lot of stuff. He doesn't actually see the fact that there's no starport yet. If he can surmise that, that'll be very important. Yeah, no, tanks are covering everything. He's basically just got to keep it in his pants. As Trigger, you got to say, okay, can't get damage. The problem is most players are so obsessed with finding damage off a 4-gate blink, they don't know how to do anything else. Like, they're just like, I need to commit, and they start throwing Stalkers away, and that'll get him killed. That will get him killed. When this Observer comes in, he should start realizing just how much bio there is, how much stuff there is on the D, but he's still worried about a Raven being out, which tells me he does not realize what he's up against. Trigger's going for an early ambush disruptor to try and ambush the move out. I believe he'll put that up here, so when Clem pushes through the middle, he can throw it from behind. Definitely a sneaky choice. Probably go Colossus after that single disruptor. 8 gateways are up on just 53 probes. The extended thermal lance upgrade does start as the first 2 medevacs start for Clem. Both sides not being able to swing those big punches at each other. They put their 2 monster trucks back in the parking lot and decide to just shelf it for now. Patience is the right call for both sides. So good scouting and reactions here. Stalker's moving through the middle. Okay, he's just going to wait in the grass, is he? Oh, not a bad choice. Bunkers get sold. Third command center does get started building there. The deeper you throw it, the more surprising it is. Terran is not expecting a ball this early, man. Good dodge. Disruptor will get punished for that. Yeah, not the best play there for Trigger. He didn't see the move out, so he was a little bit surprised. You could tell he was kind of not ready for that. Didn't he just lose 2 Stalkers, guys? Am I imagining things? No, apparently not. This is the Observer, though. So this is the Observer, a Stalker, an Adept, and a Disruptor. Blinks forward. The tanks are here. Wow, Clem committing really hard. Trigger gets a decent force field. He forces Clem to pick up, but he only gets 1 tank. Oh, it's not a good fight for Trigger. That's a really bad fight for Trigger, guys. If he got rid of all the tanks, it would have been good, but because Clem picked up so quickly, that was really well done. Oh, okay, get out, Trigger, back away, get to the battery. He forced the whole army to stim, which is good. That's very good, but he takes 2 tank shots, which is not so good. Clem here might just have victory within his grasp. The Disruptor did not find the money, guys. He's going to go for a Zealot drop his Trigger. He can't do it. No, he can't do this. I think Trigger might just be dead. That's just so much bio. Clem scouting the 4-gate, knuckling down on his defense and just waiting patiently, and now he comes with a giant army. The Zealots are all stuck behind each other up there. Even if he chooses to go for it, it's going to be so hard to get on top. Oh, the Zealots do start getting on front, but man, a giant Widow Mine landed on those as well. He saves a few of the Zealots, pulls back. Getting rid of the tanks is massive because it allows him to outrange the bio. The bio says, I don't care. We've got mobility. Great move by Trigger to block that. If those units got unloaded in the main, he was in big trouble. But he manages to hold on there. Really well done. The Widow Mine does take out a Zealot. Slightly sloppy for Trigger. Trigger's got those 10-range Colossus. Really nicely done here. He's getting some free hits off on these Marauders and Marines. He's looking to, at the very least, bait some more stims out of Clem. If you can get some more, that'd be great. Oh, Clem's going to go for it. Clem's going to go for this. Is he, though? He's not stimmed. Okay, he's stimmed. He's stimmed. He's going for it. Clem playing like a mad dog right now, trying to take a very aggressive fight. Trigger is microing his heart out, though, and those Widow Mines are not finding value. They keep getting cleaned up by the Observer micro being so good here for Trigger. He's hanging on right now. He's down on workers. He's not in a great position. With a 3rd Colossus out, he starts a Forge behind it. Ooh, does pick up a unit to dodge the Widow Mine splash. Another Widow Mine will go off there, but again, picks up to save it. Trigger is looking for the counterattack. There's only 2 Vikings out, about to be 4. If he can focus those Vikings down, he can win with these Colossus. But remember, there's no Guardian Shield. There's not a lot of meat and potatoes backing up this army. If he had a Templar Archives, I think he could win the game right now by morphing in Archons. Without that ability, though, he starts it now. He starts +1, whoops in some Stalkers, goes for the Templar Archives. That's not going to be ready in time. The Vikings coming in from both sides. Great micro here by Clem. Great micro by Clem on those Vikings, getting the hit points off without losing any of them. And the bio separating on both sides. The Colossus, the Stalkers, the Zealots are still there. One of those Vikings could get focused very soon. Nice micro back for Trigger, but look at the Zealots getting cleaned up on the left flank. The Marine Marauder is going to come down. The Stalkers and the Colossus need to fall back. He needs more Zealots, and he needs them now. The Colossus are getting good damage, but one of those Colossus dangerously low. 3 of them deep in the red and orange, but they're still alive right now. Trigger is trying to micro his way back into the game from a terrible position. And he's actually doing pretty darn well. He's got the units lost tab, which he was so far behind on earlier, back closer to even. And the Archons are here. Ghosts are coming out, though. The Ghosts might just be in time. Archons starting to morph. in a moment there. The Immortal is on the way as well behind. I wouldn't mind him probing up at this point and trying to transition. Trigger's still focused on winning the game right here, right now, though. He is looking for the advantage. But the longer this goes, the better Clem's position goes. Those ghosts are gathering energy. There's still 3 Vikings on the field. And Trigger is going to back off and start probing. He starts adding gases. Oh, the Vikings try to snag a Colossus on the way out. They don't quite get it. Second Robo's on the way. He starts disruptor production. This is the right call. 4th base goes down. Clem scans and sees it as it starts. Clem does not have a 4th command center, but he has the scarier army because there's no upgrades for Protoss, as well as a few other things. Oh, he gets feedbacks on the ghosts. Trigger. Oh my god, that was so slick. Stalkers grab another ghost. He just got another ghost. Dude, Trigger's micro is insane, guys. Clem is not used to these little skirmishing pieces of micro. Obviously, Trigger does have an advantage. They're playing Eastern US in terms of ping, but Trigger is doing really, really well on that. 59 probes only, though, for the Protoss player. It's still not a great economy. He is outnumbered. He needs to keep getting value. He's going to try to grab these Widow Mines. Gets one. Gets the Marine. Gets another one. Blinks away. Obviously, Clem will scan, knowing there's an observer now. Looks like he doesn't have any scan energy. Otherwise, I'm surprised he didn't do it. He's trying to chase him down right now. Recall. Good recall. 1 Stalker gets left behind. 1 gets sniped down. It is what it is. Not too bad. Zealots come in and get a few SCVs. Clem pulling his whole army for that was a bit derpy. Clem's got to be careful to not have circles run around him. Snipe taking out the Zealots. Doesn't have that much ghost energy. He's got to be careful with that. Stalkers at the front. 3 Colossus. Oh, he gets a Viking here. Good moves by Trigger. Ambushing at every turn. 3 Disruptors are out. He's still got the double Robo. He can build more Disruptors if he wants to. He's only building 1 at a time right now. Remember, Trigger's pretty poor on the minerals. That's his big problem in this game. But he's going to be able to transfer from his main and his natural as they do run out of resources. So even on 63 workers, Clem's only on 56. That's a lead for Protoss in worker count. 4th base is only now floating out. Prism getting ready to go into the main base. Dude, my heart is beating so fast. I cannot believe this. Trigger having the run of a lifetime today in this weekly cup. Those 3 Colossus did so much work. 16 kills, 9 kills, and 19. Not to mention the number of units they wounded. Another observer does get scanned and taken down. Okay. Clem splitting his army. This is where things get scary for you as Trigger. You're no longer in the driver's seat. You've lost all map vision. He's sending a Zealot out the right. I'd love to see him bring this observer back and just set it up there. Sees the army on the right. That's the bigger army. He's got to send most of his army and just leave a few units down the bottom. He's going to leave a Stalker, a Disruptor, a Colossus, a Disruptor, and a few Stalkers on the bottom, which should be enough with the cannon battery to deal with that. The rest of the army's hanging up here. Stalker blinks back. Really good movements by Trigger. Scouting with his Disruptor balls right now. Stalker, Colossus with the battery. Defend there. They lose just a cannon, nothing else. 2-1 upgrades are on the way for Protoss. 2-2 on the way for Terran. Clem is starting a 5th command center. He's trying to get all those tools for a normal game now, but oh my god, a pause. A pause. Right here in the middle of an intense moment. I don't know what's going on, but Trigger is microing his heart out and getting back into this game. It's very, very close. I think the problem right now is that there's 9 Vikings versus 3 Colossus. He's very reliant on these 7 Disruptors. So he's got to be really, it's all about them. He's only got 1 Immortal. Trigger's also a little supply blocked on 188. If he could just get a few more pylons, he'd be sitting okay. Clem, he's building gases. He's got 2-2. He doesn't have any more than 5 barracks and 2 starports. He's doing okay right now, but he's going to have to be cautious. 6 medevacs, 9 Vikings. All right, goes for the unpause. Trigger says, yep, go for it. Let's do it. Got to keep track of this army. She does not have right now. Zealot sees him rotate. Army goes back up there. Trigger is trying to get out there and jump on this army now. He might get surrounded though. Trigger's going to try and break this himself maybe, but he's going to get sandwiched. Careful, Trigger. Trigger moves out. He's got big balls going out on that side. He loses a Colossus or 2 instantly. Disruptors are keeping him at bay for now. The Disruptors are all gone. Disruptors are all gone. The Colossus, sorry, are all gone is what I meant. He needs to really slow down on the Disruptor shots. Wait for Clem to get a little bit deeper before you throw them. The Disruptors are derping forward a little bit. You cannot lose the Disruptors here, or the next fight is going to be very bad for you as Trigger. But he holds on for now. He lands a big Disruptor shot on the tail end of that fight. Units lost tab, much better for Clem though. Cleaned up those Colossus very nicely, and not just that, he sent the Vikings home. This is that move that Clem is so good at, guys. There's only 6 Disruptors. I really feel more Immortals, more Disruptors is probably the key to victory here. Oh, he probably thinks the Vikings died, though, since they're not around. A lot happens in the battle. You're not always keeping track of those things. Fire's still hanging on the doorstep, kind of bullying Trigger as best he can. Looks like that army is going to pull up to the top. Good scouting by Trigger. Trigger has a 5th base coming up. He's got the cannons and the batteries already there and established. Stalkers will move out and clear up that Widow Mine. Good job to split that off in the heat of all this. Pretty far from max right now is Trigger, but this is only a small army for Clem. Not able to do much, just damages some stuff, picks off a Zealot. Clem's got a 5th command center floating up though. He's got Fusion Core, he's got Liberators, and I'll tell you what, range Liberators on this tiny map are a nightmare to deal with. If he can get Lib range, which he starts immediately, gonna be a problem. A few probes going down to the Liberator on the bottom. It does not have range yet. Stalkers should deal with it just fine. And it does take out 6 probes before falling. More probes are being built. Dark Shrine is on the way. 2-2 upgrades. Only about, 3-2 upgrades on the way for Protoss. Whilst 3-3 is on the way for Terran. That's a nice upgrade advantage for Clem. It's Prism on the top. I think a Prism in the main could still be effective in this game, especially when Clem's maxed out. 7 disruptors seems to be the count that Trigger likes. I'm a big fan of like 11 disruptors versus a guy like Clem, but I think he wants to have enough mobile fighting units that do consistent damage, so he's going to be relying on those first and foremost. Clem stabilized back to a good 30 army supply lead. He's up in workers, he's up in bases, but this is where things fell apart for him in that last game, where Ancient Cistern was when Protoss got on his side of the map. That's where things fell apart. He's sending a backstab squad while trying to just turtle at home. He's only got a few Liberators so far. They're sieging in a bit of an awkward angle. Fire Ghost getting ready to flank. That Colossus does escape the Vikings. The same 9 Vikings from earlier, guys. He's lost 6 Vikings this game. But for 3 Colossus, that's a pretty good trade. Very good conservation on those Vikings. Liberator's going to start sieging up. They've got the Lib range upgrade now. It's going to make this map much harder to deal with. There's no turret on the top base. That's a lot of Dark Templar. Guys, that's the move we were talking about on Cistern. This is what you need to do in late game. You need to not just go for a few Dark Templar, you need to go for lots of them. EMP on the Nexus to stop recall could be big. The EMP's it. No recall available. The army has to run home. Oh, that's annoying. That's annoying. The Disruptors are left at the front. No! Trigger! Okay, bit of a mistake for him. He's going to lose the Nexus. He's trying to maintain his army because he doesn't want to let the Libs push. If the Libs get across the map, he's screwed. So that's actually a good choice to split his army a little bit. Throws 3 Disruptor shots, though. A little bit panicky. This is awkward right now for Trigger. Those Dark Templar need to make the damage. They need to make the damage right here, right now. Dark Templar go in. They blink. Clem's watching for it. Clem was watching for it, but it gets 3-shot. It doesn't matter if you're watching for it. He's got a recall. Nice recall. Beautiful recall. Saves them. He saves almost all the Dark Templar, only loses like 1 of them there. Great move for Trigger. Trigger's trying to rebuild, but he didn't set up the defenses there. Dark Templar will do a makeshift defense, though. If the Stalkers can shoot the medevacs, the Dark Templar should have blinked on top. Oh no! The Dark Templar walking to the meat grind. He's going to shove the front at the same time. Stalker's diving on the Liberators. He goes for a decisive move under pressure, and he actually takes out all of the Liberators, but the Marine Marauder focused the Disruptors pretty darn well. Oh, Clem comes out on top of that fight. A decisive move for Trigger could have suddenly won the game for him, but it looks like it bites back. It backfires. The tail end of that fight, terrible for the Protoss. His Disruptor count goes down. He's going to counterattack in the north while trying desperately to rebuild those Disruptors 2 at a time in the south. Another command center that's building gets cancelled at the last second. Good defense here by Clem. Trigger takes out a few turrets and then backs away. Ooh, Trigger's trying to get the top right expansion. That is Clem's next target. Clem says, I'm going to retake my 5th and I'm going to kill your 6th base. As long as we're on even counts, I've got mules dropping, I will have a better income. And look at that, Liberator harassing the top. Always a good idea to stress your opponent's attention. Trigger not noticing this for now. It seems like Dark Templar go back in on the north. He's got to blink those guys out of those scan ranges. Looks like he already blinked that one in. Gets 5 SCVs for 2 Dark Templar. Not the best trade, cost for cost. Trigger's still trying to find value by being the aggressor in this game. Liberator on the backside, getting a bunch of probes on that base. A few Stalkers going to have to warp in, but I don't think they can reach it. And he does not have a Stargate, guys. That is a denied base. That is a denied base. Oh my god, I didn't even realize you could do that on this map. That is very unfortunate. He's forced to start a Stargate. He's already broke. He needs that mineral line, and he cannot afford the Stargate. He cannot afford to lose this mining. Trigger really finding himself in a huge spot of bother. The range Liberator harassment starting to ruin his day. Stalkers Looking for those libs on the top side. Bio Ghost coming in from the left as well. This is a big issue right now for Trigger. He's outnumbered. Clem's going to try and pull the trigger right now. Jumping on top. And he tries to seal the trap. A few disruptors land, but only getting a few units. A bunch of the Protoss units go down behind it. Prism warps in. Zealot DT in the main. Nice move for Trigger. We were saying that that could find success. It's down to just 3 disruptors, though. It's losing disruptors on the retreat. That's a problem. Liberator is cleaning up the Zealots. And overall, it seems like just the rally point, some siege libs will probably be able to deal with this. He's trying to warp in Stalkers. Trigger wants to make this a messy game. He's going to warp in a Dark Templar on the top. Good idea to try to slow that army down, but the scan cleans up both Dark Templar. Main base gets cleaned up with the Prism and the 4 Stalkers. They're not finding any more value. Disruptors here are in the open. Oh no, Disruptors in the open! Clem dives, takes out 2 Disruptors, one with the libs, one with the bio. Trigger outgunned and outnumbered at the end of what was another amazing game from him and another almost awesome comeback. But Clem is just a little bit too good. He ends up sealing the deal with a 3-2. What a fantastic weekly grand finals. GG, well played.